Advanced Course Chapters. How to ullage cargo tanks correctly. Trim, ASTM tables. What table to use. Vessel experience factor. How to work with cargo surveyor. How to deal with ship-shore cargo figures difference. Chapter 1. How to ullage tanks correctly. Before you go on tank deck for ullaging, print cargo tanks ullage report generated by remote tank gauging system. Compare UTI readings with computer-generated report when gauging tanks. Though remote gauging system readings are not exactly matching UTI readings, by comparison of these two, big errors will be avoided, like recording ullage 2.74 meters instead of 2.47 meter. If few error like this happening, then big difference between ship and shore figures will occur. Use same UTI for tank gauging in loading and discharging port. Make sure UTI has valid calibration certificate. Verify UTI temperature readings by independent thermometer. Compare water temperature in bucket of water by UTI and independent thermometer. Do not allow any distractions during tank gauging. Errors leads to significant commercial and reputational losses. Identify gauging ports correctly. Cargo tanks has 2 or 3 sounding ports. These used to check if cargo remaining on board after discharging. Do not confuse them with ullage port. Tank deck around ullage port always painted in black. Height of tank and tank name always stenciled near ullage port. Chapter 2. Trim. Tank ullages tables are calculated for vessel at even keel. If vessel trimmed, level of liquid at ullage port increases. Therefore, when ullaging tanks, vessel must be on even keel or trim corrections must be applied. Do not use loading program calculated trim for ullage report. This trim often very inaccurate. Usage of trim, calculated by loading program, may lead to considerable difference between ship and shore figures. Loading program never properly calculates hull deflection. Therefore, actual drafts often considerably different with calculated drafts. Also, Longitudinal center of gravity of deadweight constant never calculated before loading, so it loading program use approximate numbers from previous voyages. This is another reason for low accuracy of draft calculated by loading computer. Very important. Check actual drafts before tank ullaging. As alternative use draft gauges. It is good practice to compare actual draft with draft gauge and calculate error. Apply corrections to draft gauges readings. Use of corrected draft gauges readings will save lot of time and efforts in determining correct trim. It is critically important to use correct trim value. Example. On Suez max size tanker, 2 cm of trim by stern will decrease ullage in average by 80 barrels. There are 12 cargo tanks. As result, 2 cm of trim will cause 1056 barrels dispute with loading terminal. If trim error is 30 cm, then about 16,000 barrels difference will appear. Use following ASTM tables if loading terminal provide a PI cargo density. The vessel experience factor is a loading cargo history ratio used to improve the accuracy of cargo quantity calculations. It reflects the difference between ship and shore measurements over multiple voyages. It's calculated by comparing the total calculated volume (TCV) of cargo on the vessel to shore-based measurements. VEF is typically applied to the whole vessel, not to individual compartments or tanks, and is used to adjust ship measurements only. Some voyages must be excluded from VEF calculations. Shore figures are not available. Voyages first one after dry dock, cargo received from another ship during lightering, voyages prior to major structural modifications, cargo was loaded in parcels, loaded less than 75% of ship's capacity. How to apply VEF? Divide total calculated volume by VEF. Basically, though cargo surveyor is third party, he protects ship, not terminal. Ullage report produced by cargo surveyor is used as third-party conclusive evidence in case of cargo quantity commercial dispute between ship and loading terminal. So, cooperate with cargo surveyor, do not argue. If there is difference between vessels figures and surveyor figures, it means that somebody made mistake. And nothing else. Use this situation as an opportunity for double check. Vessel and surveyor have exactly same ullages and temperature readings and density. Vessel and surveyor use same tank tables, ASTM tables and method of calculations. Consequently, results of calculations must be same, or very little difference occur due to rounding of numbers. It is easy to find who made mistake, ship or cargo surveyor. First, check TOV. If there is a difference, check TOV for each tank and find error. If TOV are matching, check GSV. If different, check GSV for each tank. If difference found, check every tank temperature and corresponding VCF, and last, check if WCF correct. Easy. It takes few minutes to find error, but it takes much more time for useless arguments due to 10 barrels difference. Difference between ship and shore cargo figures always exist. Critically important to understand that shore cargo figures is always used for bill of lading. Vessel checks quantity of cargo received on board, just to verify bill of lading figures provided by loading terminal. It is widely accepted that shore figures are more accurate than ship's figures, therefore shore figures used for cargo documents. Ship has very complex geometrical shape, so it is difficult to calculate exact volume corresponding to ullage. Shore tank's shape is simple cylinder, easy to calculate its volume. Second factor is trim. There is good possibility that not accurate vessels' trim was used for calculations. Shore tanks never have trim. Another reason difference between ship and shore figures is accuracy of flowmeters used by loading terminals to determine volume of cargo pumped to the ship. Standard flowmeter accuracy is less than 0.3%. So, industry acceptance criteria are less than 0.3% difference between ship and shore figure. What to do if difference is more than 0.3%? Vessel must apply VEF to total calculated volume and compare ship's figures corrected by VEF against shore figures again. If difference still more than 0.3%, then prepare letter of protest for difference between ship and shore cargo figures. And last, inform captain. He will contact vessel's commercial operator and report about issue. Best way to report is to email draft copy of letter of protest for cargo figures difference. When making initial report, signature of any third party on LOP is not required. Commercial operator will provide further instructions to the ship. LOP for cargo figures difference must be always issued, no exemptions. Even if difference between ship and shore only 0.001%.